We'll call the meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mr. DeYoung,
Here.
Mr. Kmetz,
Here.
Mr. Moran,
Here.
Mr. Paradiso,
Here.
and Mr. Janowak.
Here.
Also Chief Flores,
Here.
Chief Willman,
Here.
Mike Schilling. Okay. 5 members present.
Approval of minutes of May 18th, 2020 for the board meeting. You have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay. Mr. Kmetz made a motion. Mr. Paradiso seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Monthly reports. Chief Willman.
During the month of May 2020, the St. John Fire Department responded to a total of 135 requests for assistance. 114 in District 1, 15 in District 2, and 6 in District 3, which is all other destinations including mutual aid. Mutual aid this month was Cherville, Lake Hills, Stager Estates, in Crete, Illinois, and Crown Point. They went to all of those. The Monday night activities for the fire department during May followed the same patterns, guidelines, and disciplines away from the station that we have been for the last 90 days. We continued our drivers' training sessions with the newer members. There was no business meeting for the volunteers who have been restricted to outside responses only. And the last Monday night was Memorial Day, which would have been away. Our routine training agenda was totally supported with assignments from our library virtual remote training. Regular members have 3 sessions to successfully complete each month. Officers have 4 sessions to do each month. District 1 Firefighter Academy will be out at the training site beginning June 9th. Their classes have been restricted also because of the COVID-19 pandemic. They have completed a high percentage of the classroom assignments since the class began in February. Now they are facing the practical skills challenges and evaluations. Our members have been working on upkeep and repairs both inside the buildings and outside on the property. Some of our neighboring departments, our Mavis Division, have also reserved some days out there in the upcoming weeks. Others have been out there already. For the EMS, I'll make this real quick here. Total number of patients we had contact with was 99. Our transports out of that was 75. All of them were ALS except for 10. 65 of them were, and our resident to non-resident split was 72% St. John residents and 28% non-residents. Thank you.
Chief Flores.
Okay, from May 1st, 2020 through May 31st, 2020, the members of the St. John Police Department logged 23,018 miles and responded to 494 law incidents. The investigation of these incidents led to 17 arrests with 36 charges being filed. There were 58 traffic citations issued along with 34 written warnings for a total of 92 citations being issued during the month. Vehicle thefts totaled $0, other thefts $847, and recovered property totaled $30,000.
New business. Chief Willman.
Okay, I have several. I'm going to apply to best I can. The first is an authorization to request to purchase regarding a replacement skid for the brush truck. I'll just read it quickly here. The brush truck is listed as currently out of service. The engine is leaking oil due to blown head gasket. It can be used only if there is an alternative. It must be shut down rather than left to idle like we normally would do. The town mechanic, I spoke with him, and he advised us that we have two options. One would be to replace the engine, add new stainless couplings, which has been estimated cost between $12,000 and $13,000. That work would be done in town here at Fire Service. Or replace the entire skid with a new one, which would be installed at Fire Service also, and that would be about $3,000 more. The truck is a 2000 GMC four-wheel drive. It only has 12,000 miles on it. We bought it new 20 years ago. My recommendation would be to go with the new skid. The truck used to be responding to considerably more than it does now, but there are times when we still need to provide a smaller off-road vehicle. At one time, we used to remove the skid in the winter and plow snow with it. We don't do that anymore. Now we use the new pickup to plow. We do have funds available to cover the expense of the purchase and installation. That size purchase obviously will need to go to the town council for support. The cumulative fire equipment fund has a current balance of over $400,000. It will take approximately 6 weeks for the equipment to arrive. I have that for one purchase, and then I have another one. Do you want to do them separately, or what do you want? Or do you want to look this over, or what?
Well, I'd probably rather do them separately, because
Yeah.
this was the first that's come to us. I guess my first question is this a bid, or is this just a price from one company?
This is an estimate from Fire Service. That's where we have the majority of our work done. I can get more, but we have the majority of the work done, because otherwise you have to take it away, have it done, go back and forth if there's any other warranty work or whatever. But I will do whatever you want on that. If you want to get another bid or whatever, I'm fine with that. It's just that it's a policy that I understand that it's a considerable purchase, but I didn't do it, and if you'd like me to do it some more, I will.
Well, excuse me, I'm not quite sure what the town policy is. Even if we approve it, it would still have to go through them, and I don't know if the board would require the bids and just delay it by more time, or do it.
I would, at this amount of money, I would say a minimum of 3 bids would be my recommendation, just to make sure that it's fair and equitable, along with the town's purchasing policy for a number in that amount.
That's fine?
If it's over 25,000, I believe that's correct. Required to bid.
Okay, so we've got,
One is
we've got one of
16.
29.2.
Those together, or is it just that, are those elements separate? Or are there 2 options?
Well, the other one is for a monitor on the ambulance.
That would be
totally And-
separate. No, we have two different quotes from Fire Service. One's just under 17,000 and one's at almost
That
30,000.
was, the one from Fire Service was just to do the repairs. That's why I said we had 2 options: replace the engine and add a new stainless coupling, and that one was between 12 and 13,000 to do that, or replace the entire skid, which would be all new fittings and all the rest, and that one was 16. So what I'm asking for is the 16 over than the 12 or 13. So there's 2 different ways of fixing it.
So
Well,
it's total, you're asking for a total of $16,000,
$1,000, yeah.
$650?
That's what I'm
So
asking.
that's a quote then, getting at least 3 quotes then. It's not a bid process. I thought it was a total, I thought it was the 2 things together, so I misspoke.
No, that's all right. I just, and I don't know if you want 2 more on the 16,000. That's up to you guys. We'll get whatever you want.
Yeah, you should get, if anything of that dollar value, you should get 3 quotes.
On the $16,000 job?
Oh, for the same job. You need to get quotes for the same job.
Okay. Okay, the next one I will go to is to replace a cardiac monitor. We currently have 4. For years and years, we only had 3, but we went. This monitor is the last one of the 4 that we need to replace and upgrade. There's one, we have to have a monitor for an ALS situation, ALS treatment. A lot of the basic life ones are still having them go on the monitor now. We have one in each transport vehicle. And one in our command vehicle that also goes for ALS. The current monitor that needs to be replaced was reconditioned demo unit we had added to the command vehicle for two purposes. One was to increase our ability to respond immediately to the needs of a critical patient, even if our other three transport vehicles were already committed. The other was to have a spare to use if one of the other three units were down and out, unable to transport, so that we would have that. So we have, that's the reason we have four. For years we didn't, but we ended up needing it. I have included the estimate from Stryker. Now, this is one that we went through. We used to have Zoll monitors for several years, and then when it was time to start replacing them, we used them for 60 and 90 days each and chose which one was the best for what we were doing, and they changed back and forth. For a while, Zoll's pretty good. Then after that, the other one is good. So we are now, I can get, we only have one guy that serves us, so it's gonna be hard to get more than one quote on this, because we want to stay with the same manufacturer. You know, when you have like 30 people using them, you want to keep everything uniform as best you can. We did go through the process of the equipment that was there. All the paramedics did it, the equipment was there, and that was it. So I've included the estimate from Stryker. They're the ones that make the physio control that is current and accurate. The new monitor will be totally compatible with all the current protocols and operations of the other three that are already here. The attached quote is $32,061.96. We have sufficient funds available both from the cumulative fire fund, which can include purchases for EMS. There is also an ambulance capital replacement fund that has a balance of $60,000 in it. That is generally where the purchase would originate, but I may be required to support some of the COVID-19 EMS purchases, even if it is for a short period of time. So I would rather go from the CUME fund than, with your approval, from the CUME fund rather than getting into the ambulance cap fund right now. We received a notice that the manufacturer of the one that we are replacing, it was an older one and rebuilt when we bought it, will only be supporting maintenance issues in the future for a limited time. So that's why I feel like we need to get going. The other three that we have, one of them is 2 years old, one of them is 3 years old, and one of them is 4 years old. We have been getting, based on the number of patients and how much we go and all that, we've been getting about 7 years out of them. So I have them staggered so we don't have to go after 2 or whatever in 1 year, because they are expensive. So that's the other one that I'm looking for as far as a purchase.
Well, I kind of think we run into the same problem about the bid specs and the amount.
Well, I think this one can be different based on what you have, based on consistency, but I do believe you're gonna have to submit a sole proprietor type statement with that to justify the, basically waiving the bid process based on this is what you have, it stays consistent with what's there. But I would make a recommendation to approve that with a justification for sole proprietor with that.
It's really important to try to get them in the same, not to have.
No, I completely agree with you, Chief, and I think it's really important to keep your equipment consistent if you've got to swap it from vehicle to vehicle and the pads and the other accessories. And I've been doing this long enough that I know that it's hard to sometimes get other bids for the exact product. But as far as getting it through the board, I would recommend a memo of sole proprietor
All
and
right, that's fine,
justification
I
as to why.
appreciate that.
Right, which was in the end, you know, and again, I agree with the consistency, because if people change vehicles and get different equipment, it's very difficult on them. But sole proprietor, so,
This is the last one of the Zoll. Now, this will make all four of them the same. Okay, I will get to work on that.
Do I have a motion to approve the purchase pending,
I'll make a motion to approve that purchase.
well, I wanted to say, besides the amount of $32,061.96, and receiving a sole proprietor letter attached to it?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Paradiso,
I'll second.
second by Mr. DeYoung. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. All right, now I have some other things on here I will attempt to get at. I have a request to promote Robert Wallman to be promoted from part-time firefighter EMT to part-time firefighter paramedic. This has been an awkward situation for me and for him and everybody else, but he was actually qualified and was released by St. Anthony's Hospital when he completed his paramedic training and was recommended to go on ALS in April. And at that time, things are different now, and at that time, I was not in line with the promotion procedure and who had the authority to do it and all that kind of stuff. So I wrote a letter, it was dated April 14th, asking for this, and then at that point, it was unintentionally sidelined. I don't know how else to say it, but it was not clear that who was going to do what as far as the commission or the town manager or whatever. It just got away. And so finally, when I realized it, I didn't realize it. Finally, when I did, I sent letters to you guys and let you know where I was. But anyway, he has diligently and responsibly stayed in there. He's doing an excellent job, and I am requesting his promotion to paramedic rather than EMT at this time. I did keep track. If you choose to back pay, I kept track of all of his schedule with the clerk treasurer and stuff like that. So unfortunate, but nothing to panic about it. But it was just one of those things that I lost track of, and by the time I realized it was too late. So I'll go with that one. I have another one. Do you want to vote on these separately
Well,
too?
I had a question about this one. What were the prior procedures to do this before, Chief? I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I agree, everything was
Well,
changed.
I don't want to, blame anybody for.
No, I'm not looking for blame. I just,
Yeah.
for
Okay,
my
no.
benefit to understand.
Okay, this guy's a part-time guy. On part-time guys, I would take recommendations from the guys that are on our department and have trained with them and worked with them. And then I would interview them, and if they were qualified, I'd talk to where they work now and all that kind of stuff. Then I would write a letter, and basically this is how it went. I would write a letter to the town manager, and I would include we have a PSID number, I don't know what you guys have, but it would have all of his qualifications and his history and all that on it. That would be approved right there. It was signed, and I would take that and go to the clerk treasurer so that his pay would start. It would have his starting date, and then the clerk treasurer would have a packet they had to fill out with all the necessary information for payroll and all that, and that was it.
Right.
That was how it went. So,
Would it be somewhat common to write a letter and backdate the request for the promotion date, even if it went through the old procedure, or, which is kind of what happened here. You want to go to the 11th, and the letter's dated for the 14th. It's dated to the 14th, I'm sorry.
yeah, well, I'm not sure what your question is.
Well, would it be a common procedure to submit a letter, say on April 14th, requesting to promote someone to a date prior to the 14th?
I actually think I got the letter on the 11th, and the 14th was the first day that he worked here. that's how that went. I will do whatever we need to do or whatever you want me to do to get this done. Normally it was, and I don't mean get it done, but to have it done right for the guy. He's doing a good job and
Okay.
I would like to. So whatever your recommendation would be there, I will hold out.
Anybody else have any questions?
I have some, Chief?
Yes.
I don't have a problem with this at all. The man passed his paramedic class, he's functioning as a paramedic. I don't have a problem with that, but in the future, I don't know, do they let you know in advance when a gentleman's proceeding through paramedic training, if he is going to make it, or once he passes, I don't know if you have to take a state test here or not?
Well, I don't do anything in, St. Anthony's in Crown Point is our medical director.
Okay,
Okay.
maybe I'll make.
I don't do anything. Even if the guy goes and passes his test and he comes back, I got it and all that kind of stuff. I don't do anything until I have a notice of release from St. Anthony's that says he is qualified to function as a paramedic.
Okay, my suggestion then is, as soon as you get that notice, to let us know right away, and then we won't have this problem in the
Yeah, well,
future. Because I know, same thing where I was a paramedic. We had to pass a state test, and till all the paperwork was back from the state, we could not function as a
Right.
paramedic. And then we had to function for so long, when I went through, as a probationary paramedic.
Well, that's the same way St. Anthony's is now. I didn't.
But I have, if the gentleman has been past everything, and that, me personally, I don't have a problem. I can't speak for the rest of the board. I personally don't have a problem. I don't want to see this happen again to somebody.
Right,
That's
well, I
my
didn't
big
write
thing.
that letter on the 14th until I had that from St. Anthony's. I didn't
Well-
recommend him to go until I had it, but like I say, things change. The point I'm getting at is, I had that there. In fact, in the letter, you'll see that he's been recommended by St. Anthony's to practice as a paramedic. So I totally agree with what you're saying, and it's for everybody's benefit, and patients and St. John's and mine and everything else. So I totally am in agreement with that.
Anybody else? I have a motion to promote Robert Wallman from part-time firefighter EMT to part-time firefighter paramedic, and I believe the request was to backdate it to April 11th. I have a motion.
So moved.
I'll make a motion.
Well, motion by Mr. DeYoung, any second?
Second.
Pat Moran, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Chief?
Now, let me see
Still up.
what I got here. Okay, recommend creating creating an updated list of qualified candidates for a full-time position as a firefighter paramedic in St. John. It's been over 6 months since we created a resource list for hiring additional staff or refilling open positions. This list has unfortunately been depleted to the point where we would be in very vulnerable situation if we needed to rely exclusively on our current list for any replacements. We had 9 before, 5 of them were paramedics, and 4 of them were EMTs that were in school. Since that time, and that has been about 6 months, we don't have any more paramedics on the list. We hired 2 of them. One guy went someplace else. One guy couldn't pass his physical, and the other guy was unhappy with his current employer and then got happy, so then he decided he didn't want to come to St. John. But so right now, we don't have a candidate on the list that's a paramedic. And I think that we need to do that.
I agree with you. I believe you should have a list of qualified people.
One question, did you skip number 4? Did I miss something?
I don't know, did I don't have numbered here, what,
Oh, well,
request
number
to
4 was to promote,
oh, Van Kyken,
yeah.
yeah, okay.
I'll continue with 5 as long as we have it.
Okay,
Anyone have any questions?
How old was the prior list?
About 6 months. We just hired off of it. The first one that was put on is this guy here, Ben Kuiken, 6 months ago, so that's where it was. We started it, I believe, in September and worked on it through October and November. He had an offer, I think his first day was December 21st, and then we took another young lady after that, but Van Kuiken was already in the 77 fund, in the pension setup, and she wasn't, and it took a while to get her through everything, but she's been on, she'll be coming up probably in a couple months. I think she came on probably in February, but that's how current it was. We just started it in September, and it's empty.
Thank you.
My question is, what is the state law as far as, and statutes say as far as your list? And can you just expire a list that's not expired by state statute to rehire to try to get paramedics?
But the thing is, he doesn't have anybody on the list anymore. There is no
So
list.
there is no one, the entire
Don't
list
have
is
a
exhausted.
paramedic available on.
No, I understand you don't have a paramedic on the list, but what does the state statute say as far as hiring and home rule versus non-home rule of what is the policy for not having, I mean, if you allow non-paramedics onto the list, you can't, and that list is not technically expired by state statute or what the hiring procedure is, I don't think it's fair to just eliminate that list when there's candidates on it, whether they're paramedics or not. So between town policy as far as home rule versus non-home rule and what the policy says versus state statute and the hiring procedures, I don't know if you can just get rid of a list when you have candidates on it, whether they're paramedics or not. And I would want that answer.
That's fine.
I mean, if I had a list with 6 firefighters on it, even though none are paramedics, can I bypass them? I mean, it's, you know, I don't
It
know.
all depends on what your requirements are.
Well,
When we hired, we were hiring paramedics.
right.
But I did let them on the list, but some of them were in school at the time and all that, so.
Right.
But I believe it's gonna violate the hiring, equal opportunity hiring if you eliminate a list that's still current and active to try to find other candidates just because now they're not as qualified as you want them to be.
If that's your opinion, I'm fine with that. That's what we have a commission for. You gotta remember,
I think it's more of a
I've been
question.
here for 40 years and we never had a commission.
Chief, it's just a question. It's
So
what is the law?
Yeah.
And what is the state statute, and what is the town policy? We can't just, I mean, there's state statutes out there for hiring of public service, whether it's police or fire, and we can't just violate that based on,
I mean, if the state law says you can do it in the policy and there's no violations, there's certainly
Well,
personally no
I'll
problem
check-
with it, but
I'll check
I don't
and
want to
see.
put us in a situation where we're violating something without knowing the answer.
I'll look into that.
All right. You want to back up one, chief, and,
Yeah, we'll go back to Van Kuiken. We've pretty much talked about him. His date of hire was December 21st. He began his 6-month probation period on that day. He will have successfully completed that probationary period as of June 21st, 2020. The next 2-week pay period runs through June 20th. I am requesting for him to be promoted to full-time firefighter paramedic effective June 21st, 2020.
okay. Anybody have any questions? No. I have a motion to promote Robert Van Kuiken from probationary full-time firefighter paramedic to full-time fire paramedic.
I'll make a motion to.
Mr. Kometz made a motion, have a second?
Second.
Pat Moran seconded, all in favor?
aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I think we'll just skip the next one then, the approval to repeat the previous procedures, because I guess we just came to the conclusion that we're not gonna do the previous procedures, so.
Well,
Um,
Chief, hang on. What, not being a fireman, what is your current procedures for hiring?
Well, that's why, all right, we had application with, and information, and then we have, I didn't bring it all, it's all what the required qualifications are on it. Okay, we advertise, they come in, they get an application, fill it out, and then it has everything on it. This was the first time it was a little awkward because, like I say, we never hired within the pension plan or anything before. These are the first ones that we ever hired in. The other ones just transferred in. So then after that, they fill out the application, bring them back. We go through, register them all, and log them all and all the rest. Then we have a written test. And then when the written test is done, they come in for the written test, and then I do a quick interview with them so that I just get familiar with them so I know their name and their face and stuff like so. Okay, then after that, we have an interview with our senior staff officers, battalion chiefs, and then they spend a lot of time with that interview and then go through and they make a recommendation of the order of the list, okay? Then that comes back to me, and then I look at it, but it's like I go with them. I don't necessarily have to change them. If I'm not totally 100% on that, then I'll pursue it more. This was the last time, this is the first time we did it, and it was fine. I took the list just like they had it, and I was familiar with some of them. I had worked with some of them and all the rest, so I had no problem with that. Then they have to have the physical agility test. We got, this is the first time, we always gave the physical agility tests ourselves out at the training site. And we have the tower out there, and they went through and timed it and stuff. When we first started it, we had a lot more help to get it done, and all the rest, we'd have 20 or 25 people go through. Now there's the CPAT, and I cannot remember exactly what the initials are, but so I'm not gonna bother anybody else for me trying to figure it out. But anyway, it's nationally recognized physical. You can have it for either 6 months or for a year, and as long as you have a valid card at a certain time. Now, last time we said by the time they started, the day that they started, they would have to have it. But I don't want to do that again. Because then if they don't get it, then what do you do? Do you wait? All that kind of stuff. So now I have here that they would have to have the CPAT valid so that they could qualify for the job when they met with the officers. And then from that on, then they would get a letter of intent and all that. That's how we did it. So it has worked out very well. I'm proud of the people that we have, but I don't think we have really, really good people because we interviewed them well. I just mean we were careful about what we did, and we have a great organization, and they become part of it, and that's it. So I'm just asking if we can still do it that way, or if you want to see, we switched tests once. This test was not that popular this time, but I was fine with it. So if I'm going to make a list, those would be what I would follow, that order. But sometimes people think that others should interview them, like one of you guys could interview them or something like that, experience, that's fine too. I'm wide open to it. That's fine with me. I have no problem at all. But I like to be familiar with them and talk to them and have our officers talk to them.
Who administers the written test, Chief?
Well, it's a professional. They send them in, and I administer it. I keep track of it. Nobody else really has the time to sit there and do it. They take it right up in the station.
So
And
it's internally done, not done by an outside vendor or anything?
no, it's an outside vendor. I'm trying to think. It's industrial. I have it here someplace. Organization something. I don't know. The other one we got was from California. That's the one we've used for a long time. We never used to give a test. And I said you have to have something subjective, something to go by, not just, throw it out there, and then that's it. So then we started doing the test. I don't know, I think we've probably done that test for 5 or 6 years at least. And now this time we tried this test from Oak Brook, Illinois, and it seemed to be all right, but some of them were complaining, so myself, I like to get with one and stay with it. That's why we stayed with the other one all that time.
And where would we advertise for this?
Well, we've gone a couple ways with that. We advertised in like the newspapers, Hammond Times, and then this last time we had it on Facebook. And I don't do all the stuff. I'm trying to think where else we might have had it beside. I know we had it on Facebook, and I know we had it. We went through the Lake County Fire Chiefs Association, which is we're a member of, and it seems to me there was one.
Yeah, not exactly, but it'd be some of the surrounding newspapers and stuff. So
Totally.
other people see this besides, say, part-time firefighters and stuff like that.
Right.
Okay.
Right. We always did for Hammond Times, but actually we had better coverage when we didn't spend as much of our funds doing it in the Hammond Times. So,
Steve, do you remember, isn't there a website that has a listing of all the firefighter positions opened in the country?
There are, and, but also in today's social media, if you get it on your webpage as far as, and especially on Facebook or something, it's spread out pretty quick.
I
So-
think we had a better response this time, staying out of the papers and going with, like he said, Facebook and stuff.
That's fine.
Anybody else?
Does the fire department have its own Facebook page?
We're getting one right now. We had our meeting this week, and they are putting one together right now.
So it would go on the town page? is
Right,
Currently.
right, yeah. I thought that was a really good idea.
Yeah. Okay, if I got this right, we need a motion to establish an eligibility list for hiring additional employees?
Well, hold on, I think,
we-
let's go
that's
back to
been-
the other one.
yeah.
We gotta go back to, I mean, we didn't really, I think we need to defer this to the next meeting, because we gotta understand what we're gonna do with this current list. What the law is, what the statute is, what the town policy is, because there is a current and active list.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, that's right, because originally
So-
this was marked as he was gonna skip that, and we asked about the
So-
procedures. You're right. You're right. We'll skip that one. We'll go on to the next one. B7.
Okay, this is a request to hire Scott Clifford, who is a St. John Volunteer Fire Department member, as a part-time hourly firefighter EMT. It's understood that Scott will continue his commitment to public safety as a volunteer member. He will also provide availability for 12-hour or 24-hour tours of duty. When he is on duty at the fire station for shift assignments, he will be paid hourly rather than per incident like they are now. Scott Clifford is an active responding volunteer member, and that is very true. He's an active responding volunteer member. He has been a certified firefighter 1 and 2 for 2 years and a National Registry EMT for 1 year. And nobody thinks too much about it, but it was the volunteers that kept us strong and helped us out all along. The town pays for them to go to EMT school and stuff like that. So I am a big proponent of, if they're good, to get them in, and they support the paid guys and the town. And he has requested that, so that's why I'm bringing it up. But now there again, I'm not the new kid on the block, but it's not gonna be the same. Like when we bring on a volunteer, they interview him and such, he gets a full physical and all the rest, but I don't have, like, it's not anywhere near as stringent as a full-time guy. But if you think that I need to crank that up a little bit, I can do that too.
Well, my only question is, what is the procedure to go from volunteer to part-time? Is there a formal procedure?
He becomes a town employee at that time. He
No, I
becomes a
understand that, but-
Part-time
but-
town employee.
What, can any volunteer apply for it? What is the procedure? If I was a volunteer firefighter and I wanted to be part-time in your department, what's the selection process? What's the, how to,
All right, the only part-time volunteers are also EMTs or paramedics. That's the deal. That's why we send them through. In other words, there is no position on the fire department that's just a part-time firefighter. They have to be a firefighter, paramedic, and then they work on the ambulance. And they work hourly. But someone can be just on the volunteer fire department and not be an EMT, and then they just answer fires, or car wrecks, or whatever, that kind of thing.
so are all of your volunteer firefighter EMTs or paramedics, are they all also part-time?
Nope.
So that's
Just
what
the
I'm,
one that want to,
so it's a request from them?
right. He asked me about 3 weeks ago if he could qualify to be a part-time firefighter EMT, and I said, according to what we're doing right now, yes, you can. But we don't bring them on, and we don't bring them on until, for that purpose, and then they have to participate on the hourly too. See, because the volunteers are only paid like twice a year, every 6 months. Actually, we just had a payroll now, June and December and stuff. And there are EMTs on the department that don't work part-time. They're not interested in any of that. They're not available for it, and then that's it. But the ones that are, and that's why they went to school, I try to give them every opportunity I can to do it.
Okay, thank you.
So I am requesting this.
Does this gentleman have any interest in going on from a regular EMT to a paramedic?
Well, I don't know.
Okay,
Not-
don't say,
Well, no, here's the thing. He has a family. He just moved to St. John. He has a very good job as a computer technology guy and stuff like that. I said no, because I would never imagine him going on and
I mean,
but we have had guys that became EMTs and then became paramedics, and they still stayed volunteers, so I
there are a lot of.
jumped on the,
There are a lot of volunteer, or POC paid on-call paramedics and EMTs. So that's why, and I don't know how your system works here yet. I'm gonna find out, but.
find it
do you-
out tonight pretty well.
No, I mean your EMS system. Do you require 2 paramedics on the ambulance, 1 paramedic and an EMT? Or what do they require?
One EMT, one paramedic.
Paramedic? Okay, so you only need 1 paramedic on the ambulance.
Right,
Okay,
right.
Every
We don't
system-
run them that way because we're a little bit spoiled, and
that's fine.
that's it, but
You're running it more than what the
I've been an
system
EMT for
requires.
like 36 years, and when we first started, it was me and 3 other people, and that's how we ran the whole ambulance service. So I got to go on every call, and they got to split every 24 hours. But, so we definitely run with 1 EMT and 1 paramedic.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, I have a motion to hire Scott Clifford as a St. John Fire Department volunteer as a part-time hourly employee, firefighter EMT.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. DeYoung,
I'll second it.
second by Ray Paradiso. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. I know I took a lot of time, but it's very.
It's all right.
Thank
Okay, before you go on, can I just clarify something?
Sure.
With regard to the purchases, so the town's policy is that any purchase over $4,000 has to be approved by the town council. And then purchases between $4,000 and $20,000, it's up to the town council to determine if they want quotes or not for that item. Above $20,000 and up to $150,000 requires quotes. Anything above $150,000 requires a bid. And so what will happen is, Chief Woolman will need to submit the paperwork, for a request to purchase to the council.
Right.
And, it's up to the council whether or not that purchase is made, so.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
wanted to
that. That's why
clarify.
I even listed it as request to purchase, because I knew that I would have to on those.
Yeah, so the proper procedure would just be for you to submit the request to the council, with the documentation necessary for that.
Oh, okay, is that acceptable?
Right.
Okay, if that's acceptable for you, because
Sure.
As the safety board, is this something we should even be dealing with, is
Well, we're all
purchases?
learning, right? So,
Okay.
we're all new at this and we're all learning, since this board is new. So, I think we need a little bit of clarification on that. I don't think I'm not even sure that our attorney can answer that question at this point because we're all new at this. And whether or not the safety board has any responsibility with regard to requests for purchases. And it's clear in the town's ordinances that the information I just gave you, those dollar amounts, the council has that authority. Whether or not the safety board now has a role in that request being sent to the council is a little unclear to me. So I would defer to Mr. Decker on that. I'm not sure if you can answer that or not at this point.
Well, so I would offer this, that the ordinance that established the Board of Safety, it provides that the Board of Safety oversees the fire department and the police department. So in that very general umbrella of oversight, I think it would be appropriate for those requests to come before the Board of Safety, ultimately perhaps to make recommendation or no recommendation to the town council.
So perhaps the procedure would be, the chief would bring it to the safety board would consider whether it seems appropriate to make that request to the town council.
Yes.
Okay.
that's kind of what I thought I was.
That's what I'm thinking as well, but again, we're all making our, kind of finding our way with this, so. But anyway, those requests, the one was, for $16,650. It would be up to the council to determine whether or not they wanna, they want to receive quotes for that or not. And then for the defibrillator, I believe it was.
Yeah, the monitor.
That was 32,000, roughly 33,000. Again, it's up to the council, but it suggests that we should get quotes in that case. The policy suggests that we do get quotes in that case, but that's guidance to the council, and that's in that ordinance, and not the safety board is directly. It's more just a matter of, I guess procedurally, it sounds like the appropriate thing would be for what we just done, to bring it to the safety board, and then the recommendation from the safety board to the council.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay. Well done, Chief.
I think so.
Chief Flores.
Okay,
For your cooperation, by the way. I
Thank you
appreciate
for your time.
Thank you, Chief.
okay, as far as the towing RFPs that went out, we did send out a legal notice that was published in the Post Tribune and the Times. The proposals that were obtained by Stan's Towing Company, Kubiak Service, Tom and Ed's Auto Body, and All Pro Towing, and submitted proposals were Stan's, Tom and Ed's, Kubiak's, and All Pro. So we have 4 of those proposals that we received that we would submit to the safety board, and we will review that and make a recommendation to the council, correct, for them to approve the contract with the tow firm. So we'll submit those to you, we'll review those at a later date, and then next month, hopefully, at that council meeting, they'll make the actual approval there for the we'll recommend for approval for the companies that we decide on as a board and with us. So I have those here, and I'll give those to the chairman at the end of the meeting. We can set up a time to go over those later on. The update for Officer Schaefer, he's been hired, he's going through his FTO right now. It's going pretty smooth. Obviously, he's an very experienced officer, so basically just learning geography, which he's getting pretty quick. So I anticipate him not being in FTO much longer, maybe another couple weeks, and he should be out on his own. So everything's going well with him. The last thing I have is our new hire process, which I talked about. at our last meeting. I have some tentative dates together. I didn't print copies for you guys because I'm still trying to nail down the day for the agility test. I think I have it, which is August 8th, but I'll go through it real quick just to kind of give you a heads up of what we're looking at. So June 19th, we'll advertise it, that we're going to put out for, and this is just for, to establish a hiring list, which is good for 2 years, because currently we do not have a list, a current list. So this would be for new people that want to choose law enforcement as their career. So we have that list available for 2 years, whenever from the point it gets certified to 2 years later. So we'll advertise for that again, Facebook, our town website, the Academy's website. They put it on there as well too, so we'll get it put out there. So we'll do that June 19th, July 11th at 9 a.m. Tentatively, we're going to do a mandatory orientation at the police station down in our training room. And this is just, we'll give a kind of a brief scenario or synopsis of the police department, the town, and just talk about the department a little bit, and that's when the applications will be available to hand out to people. And then they'll be due July 11th. And then the tentative date right now, I'm pretty sure we're going to have this date set. I'm just waiting to confirm with the school, was August 8th at 8 a.m. for the agility test, and that'll be at Clark Middle School. We'll probably do the push-ups, sit-ups, and jump portion inside the gym, and the run portion outside on their track by the football field. And then after that, we'll have the written test, which will be at our station at August 22nd at 8 a.m. And then interviews I have tentatively from between September 7th and September 11th. And again, through this process, even orientations, the agility test, the written test, you're all welcome to come if you guys want to check it out. And the interviews as well too. I know you expressed, some of the members wanted to be present to see them. We don't have a problem with that as well too. So as soon as I get that date nailed down, I should have it within the next day or two as far as the agility test. As soon as I get that, I'll email you guys this copy that I made of the date so you guys have it. And then the test we're going to use that Standard & Associates. It's a new applicant test, company that does testing for new hires.
And the board would like a couple members to interview, and we probably have some pre-selected questions they want to ask.
Sure.
So, as soon as we decide what we're going to do, we'll let you know.
Not a problem.
Just for clarification, Chief, I know we had talked about it before, so once this list is established and posted, this is going to be the primary hiring list, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
All set? Okay. Public comment?
Mr. Janowak, just real quick. So given that information that I just shared with you with regard to the purchasing policy, do you want to make any changes to the action or do you want to take any action this evening on item 1 at all? As far as forwarding that request to the council or not?
I think we can make a motion.
Well, I still think we need the bids or the approval, don't we?
Well, based on what it is, it's kind of, that's up to the board based on the dollar amounts now, so we could just make a motion to approve that to go to the board for
The council.
the council.
Favorable
We're
recommendation.
going to go ahead and approve this just to go to the council.
Right, and then it's up to them at that point whether they want the requirement for quotes or not.
Okay.
I just want to make sure, just so we're not holding up that purchase if it's something that's
Right.
important, then perhaps consider taking that.
I'll just go
forward to
ahead
the
and
council.
combine both into one motion then, or we had two requests?
Yeah, I would make another motion just to be safe.
No, I'm just
Make a
going to
motion for
combine
each
both
one.
of them into one motion.
So make a
we're
motion
gonna
for
need
each one.
Both of them, okay. The first one would be the authorization for request to purchase new replacements kit for a brush truck. I have to look the price up again for about 16,000.
650.
69 something here. And some change. Do I have a motion for that?
1,650.
16,650.
Yes. All right, 16,650. Have a motion?
I'll make that motion to approve that, to send it to the council.
Motion by Mr. Moran, second
Second.
by Mr. Comitz. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
And then I need a motion To purchase the new cardiac monitor replacement for the Zoll Model in service on non-transport command vehicle. Purchase price of $12,550.
32,000.
It's 32,061.91.
I gotta find the paperwork. Okay, there's so much here.
96, I should say.
32,061.96. I have a motion to approve that.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Paradisha made a motion, second.
So that would be a motion, that, we gotta amend the motion that it goes to the council.
That's what the motion.
Okay.
Okay.
Second?
Mr. DeYoung seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, sorry about that, just wanna make sure we didn't miss that.
That's all right. And
And then one other thing, just Mr. DeYoung also too, is with that'll be our primary list for new hires. If we have an unexpected retirement or somebody quits on us right away, we still have the option of emergency hire. But this will be like for new guys. If we have somebody that's expecting to retire, we know it's coming, we can choose off of that list.
I still think we need further discussion on that as far as what's the primary list and what's, at some point, we need to come up with, as far as the safety board, is what's gonna be the hiring process and what's not. I still am not in favor of always deferring to the emergency hire list, when we have an active hiring list for candidates that have gone through the testing procedure.
Anybody else?
I just want to say I'm in agreement with Mr. DeYoung on that also.
Right. I'll go back to public comment then. Anybody for public comment? Please step forward. Madam. State your name and address, please, and it's a 3-minute time limit.
Okay. Good evening, Safety Board, Chief Flores. My name is Andy Toka, 1225 Birch Drive in Sherrville. I'm the owner of Tom and Ed's Auto Body. I'm second-generation owner, that's why my name's not on the sign. That's easy for me. So just want to thank everybody for considering us for towing for St. John. I know we applied 10 years ago, and when I first joined the business, I got the benefit of going in front of the council. So thank you again. I appreciate it, and we would really be appreciative if we were able to join you guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? Have a motion? Nope, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Jim Ford. I'm with the Mill Creek community, and I wanted to provide you some information regarding safety and an initiative we're driving with the current council and Commissioner Tippy. We're concerned in the community regarding safety as far as fire, police, and EMS having only one way to ingress and egress out of the community via 231. The builder, Olthoff Builder, still has not finished Mill Creek Road, which would take us out to Parrish. It is very difficult to turn left out onto 231, especially during the morning and afternoon hours. I would also give you a couple metrics here. We have a fairly good population of senior drivers that come out of the gates. We also have the Christian school that has an enrollment of 600 people, and they have no bus service. And we also have bus service to the Cedar Lake School system, about 6 to 8 buses that come out of there per day. Our community is moving up towards 400 people, with about 70 children in that community. We still have construction traffic coming in one way. We also have laborers that move in and out quite aggressively at times, especially at closing hours. And I've been working with Councilman Sweats and also Commissioner Tippy regarding moving Mill Creek out to Parrish. I had Ms. Hernandez enter this into the May meeting minutes and look to present to the council on June. My concern is also from a public safety point of view, we did a informal time study, and driving from Family Express down 231 to Park Place, up Mill Creek out to the last townhome that is currently being built takes about 2 minutes and 40 seconds, with time being relative as to staying within the speed limit. Of course, fire and police are expediting that. But with time being relevant, that same distance going down Parish to Mill Creek to that townhome is 15 seconds. So you can see the urgency regarding safety. Our concern is also with the number of children in the neighborhood, and we are at least in my phase, 100% built. The second phase, all combined, is about 80% built, and OTOF will not come back to us and give us a firm plan when this road is going to be put in. We understand their PUD expiration is this November. They had all of last year to put this in, and we ask you for your support from a fire, EMS, and police. And we just wanted to bring that to your attention, and we'll be presenting at the town board should they meet in June physically. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Nobody? And a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Kametz, second.
Second.
Pat Moran, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.